So I want to ask a question to Rudy because this is a concern, not really a concern. It's just a comment I guess I've had with the OKC Thunder, right? And we have a question in the notes, so I'm going to bring it up because OKC, you can make the case that there's possibly too much young talent where people are going to be peaking at different times. They're not going to match up with the timelines. Um, whether you're like ready to go now, like Shea is basically, people saying top three guard, top four point guard in the entire league right now. He's ready to go now. Is the team ready to come with him? Right. So with the Rockets, you have some decisions to make. You guys mentioned James Harden. I also don't believe James Harden's coming. I think Stephen A. Smith even basically reported saying, yeah, Ime Udoka and his staff do not want James Harden coming to the Houston Rockets. They're trying to build something different, and James Harden doesn't fit that culture. Love that and respect that. Do the Rockets have too much young talent, and who do they need to go get in free agency to help maybe mold, be that veteran presence to be there?
Yeah, so it's too much young talent. I don't know. It's hard to tell because there's guys on our roster like Ty Washington where I like him, but I'm okay if he just doesn't end up panning out. The one concern I do have is like Tari KJ Martin. What's gonna happen there? Because I like both of those guys. Like I love KJ Martin, but if I think he's a restricted free agent. I don't remember, but if we want to move him, I'm fine with it because I can see Cam Whitmore developing into taking that spot. But I think Tari Eason did a damn good job last season, and he could be a starter. I mean,
Mm.
he kind of similar to KJ Martin, where he was kind of thrust into that role. We're pretty good at throwing guys out on the floor and just letting them play, and we have a much better coach now. I think you were talking about OKC. The difference is, I think they have too much young talent, but I think they're more clear on who their guys are. Uh, I just wonder about Trey Mann over there and now Casey Wallace, but I mean that's a whole different topic. As far as us, I think we're fine. I think we do need to fill out our roster with maybe one or two guys free agency wise. I really like Cam Johnson. I think he's an older guy, a veteran that has been on a deep playoff run, a finals run. He could be a starter for us. Like I wouldn't mind him starting alongside Green, Thompson, Smith, and Şengün because
Yeah.
he can play multiple positions as well. There's been talks about Brook Lopez. I don't know if that's gonna happen. I don't I'm not particularly too bought into Brook Lopez. I'd rather get Naz Reid. I would like that a lot more. But I don't know. I don't think we have too much young talent. I don't think so.
I don't know if we've seen this though before. A team accumulate so much young talent that four of their five projected starters are top five prospects in their individual classes. Because that's what Cam Whitmore is. He fell in the draft due to poor Jonathan Cavoni concerns over his knee cartilage, a disappointing rookie or freshman season at Villanova, poor pre-draft workouts. If only he worked out and interviewed as well as Brandon Miller would have been the second overall pick. And really, the idea is just that I don't know if their play styles and their skill sets actually correspond with one another. It feels like there's no pecking order between Amon, Jalen, Cam, and Jalen and Amon we could say are one and two. But I think for Cam Whitmore, he was supposed to be a guy that would be a priority for his team. And last year, it felt like with Jabari Smith, he took more of a back burner. And now you add in two lottery talents to the squad. And you worry about the personalities because so much of the draft is not only accumulating the right type of team fits, but then also these players work well with one another. And for as good of a coach as Ime Udoka is, with how bad their culture was the last 3 years after trading James Harden, I'm really concerned they're going to have just too many good players on the roster that all need playing time. A lot of them aren't going to be prioritized. They're going to get no PT. And then it kind of feels irresponsible as a franchise in some ways because, like, to me, I was hoping the Rockets didn't take Cam Whitmore, to be blunt with you, because A value, questionable fit. I'm like, I want him to go to a team like the Pacers where he can start immediately. He'll get the perfect secondary role of Tyrese Halliburton, and he'll be that franchise's like second lead creator. With the Rockets, I want him to get 3-and-D wing, kind of like Cam Johnson, just an elite shooter, which Whitmore is not right now. Thompson can't really play off the ball because he's one of the worst shooters in this draft class. And then with Jalen Green, he needs to play on the ball because that's where it gets into a rhythm. And when Jalen's out of rhythm, a second overall pick going to year 3, I am pretty concerned about this because it's like, yeah, you don't get your lottery pick next year. So it's kind of like you made up for the pick you're going to lose. But at what point is there such thing as too much young talent? I think the Rockets are in the case here where it's like, not every draft pick hits. Many, more often than not, miss. You look at the 76ers, the Thunder, they hit 3 on VPs. That's never going to happen for a long time. But it seems like to me, the GM and Raphael Stone is kind of just trying to protect his job, and he's just drafting as many quality young prospects. Am I alone in that thinking? Like, Stone has to be on the hot seat here, given they've struggled so much last few years.
No, I feel like normally I would agree with you, but I feel like when Silas came in, that timeline got screwed up so bad because immediately Harden and Russ were out, and he kind of had to do whatever he could to get value for those guys, and it turned into a bunch of picks, and we're drafting high every year. So
Right.
taking we always get on teams for not taking the best available player, and I feel like that's what he has done. And even with guys like Şengün and even Josh Christopher, like these are guys that he scouted and found. These are the guys that he liked, and I feel like he made some really good picks there. But last year's draft, I mean, we all thought we were getting Paolo, and then that changed. So at that point, again, you took the best available player in Jabari Smith. I don't think that Cam needs to start right away. I'm okay with it, but I'm also okay with letting guys leave or trade him like KJ Martin. Like he's a talented guy. He can go play anywhere. But I can agree with you in a sense. It is a lot of talent. They need to figure it out. Play style is my concern. How are we going to play? Because I do think Jalen Green can become. Don't give me a crazy reaction here, but I can see Jamal Murray-ish kind of play with Şengün in terms of how him and Jokic play. I could see some of that working for us, but with Thompson being in there, like you said, he can't shoot yet, but he can cut and he can get to the basket, and he's an elite athlete. So as long as they figure out a way to make these guys work, and if they're all bought in, I think it'll just be forward progress. I don't think we're going to take steps back because it's been bad, and we need to start winning more games.
I'm hesitant on being negative because this is the first time I've been skeptical of a team nailing the draft. The first time. It feels like we always credit teams when they take players that fit in some ways, because you made a good point. Amen and Cam, good cutters and off-ball movers. Şengün is entering the top 3 of passing bigs by year 3. So the theory of him being able to find those guys like a Kenyon Martin, down low, on cuts, backdoor slips, and second side actions, it's really exciting, but I'm probably alone in this one. I have to see this actually gel out because it feels like Ime Udoka's got too many kids to worry about, man. But we're going to see in time. It's going to be exciting because, like you pointed out, the Rockets hasn't been a lot of good last couple of years with Steven Silas. It can only go up from here, and I'm with you there. I'm expecting to win 30 games this year with the new coach and the added talent and development. But at some point, we're going to year 4 of this rebuild. It's like, when is it time to start winning games and not developing? Maybe it's just them wanting to extend that runway the way the Thunder had the last couple of years, which is understandable and probably the right thing to do. It's a matter of balancing culture building and then the product with the long-term development. And I feel like they're overcompensating on potential, and they're not prioritizing the winning aspect of developing a culture, developing a team construct. Because let's be honest, I mean, I listened to yesterday the Pick Aside podcast, and Drew, he didn't watch like anyone Rocket games. He's like, what was their identity last year? Being a giant mess? It's like they have such a long way to go in terms of the identity of this roster. And there's many different ways they can build it. And that's what makes them a potential contender down the line. But man, I think Ime Udoka, he has the most amount of talent to develop, but also one of the harder jobs in the league, given, it's a lot. It's a lot here.
Yeah, I do. I just want to say this real quick. I think our timeline kind of restarted once we traded Christian Wood, because when Christian Wood got brought in, it was to pair with Harden, and then Harden left, and there was a lot of Rockets fans, even me, I was getting overwhelmed with the Christian Wood hype. I don't know why. We just saw a big 6'10" guy. He said he told Giannis he's better than Giannis. Yeah, we won some games with him. And so
5-game winning streak right after trading Harden. So it felt like Wood was actually going to be a long-term piece.
Yeah, and once that shit ended, I feel like it was a clean restart. And even now with the new coach, I feel like you get another year in there. So I feel like everyone kind of gets on us for these guys have been trash for 4 years. Like I think we're just starting to restart our rebuild process.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to hit on, right? So you got Jalen Green, right? 2 years ago, he was the number 2 overall pick. You got Jabari Smith Jr. Last year, he was a 3rd overall pick. And now this year, you got Amen Thompson, he was a 3rd overall pick. Yeah,
Fourth overall.
Yeah, okay. Okay. 4th overall pick. This is what I want to ask you. Is the guy, because I know it's been some years since the Harden days, right? You're coming off a 22-60 record. Is the guy to hand the keys to the kingdom to on the team currently?
Man, that's a tough question to answer because it could be Jokic, and it's be funny because he wasn't a lottery pick.
Şengün?
I would have to go with Şengün.
Wow.
What did I say? Did I say Şengün, right? I said
You said
Şengün?
Jokic before?
Oh,
but I know
sorry.
you
My
meant
bad.
baby
Yeah,
Jokic.
I meant Şengün because he wasn't a lottery pick. I think he's getting the Jokic comparisons. That's why I'm thinking of Jokic. I say that because I've also been okay with the possibility of trading Jalen Green. Like I'm okay with that.
He's
I
not
like Jokic.
untouchable.
Yeah, he's not an untouchable player.
Okay. So is Şengün the only guy that would be untouchable for you?
I don't even think he's untouchable. Like I'm giving you the closest answer to your question that I possibly can, you know?
Yeah. So you're still in the zone of we are years away from being back in the contention. Like years.
Contention, yeah. Contention, yeah.
We're years.
The quickest the Rockets return to the playoffs is 2025. The quickest they return to contention is probably 4 years from now in 2027. When Amon's going to year 4, Jalen's going to year 6. Because I listened to Jalen Green talk. He's like, yeah, my rookie duties, I was the veteran there. I'm like, oh, God.
And he wasn't.
That's a bad precedent for a 19-year-old.
Yeah, and Eric Gordon was on the team, so that's weird.
And that, well, yeah, obviously he was checked out, waiting to be traded, which he never was for 2.5 more years. But the thing is, where was I going with that thought? Oh, this is what it was. Alperen Şengün is so appealing because Nikola Jokic has won a championship. And the same way we look at the next Steph, the next LeBron, the next Michael, it feels like everyone's allured by the attraction of the next Jokic. But he has developed as a shooter because right now he's just a non-shooter. He's got the passing, and he's also got the feel for the game too. He's also a worse defender, though, than Nikola Jokic. And Jokic is a little bit bigger. There have been a lot of, have you seen on Twitter, the Alperen Şengün reports that he's like 7 feet tall when he's really 6'9"? And I'm like, guys, he's undersized in the center position. He gives up a lot of rim protection. He's really a total non-rim protector. And he's not that adept switching either. So the concern with him is, if they talk themselves into him being the guy long-term, what's the piece alongside him that supports him defensively? Is Jabari Smith going to be a good enough rim protection to make up for the lack of it? Because we saw with Aaron Gordon, it was enough. But then again, Nikola had to take his game to a different level. He defended at a relatively quality level in the playoffs. Will we get that from Şengün? That's what's going to determine whether or not they really can get back to that top upper echelon, I think. Because every team needs rim protection to some degree.
Well, the Rockets, for the last this is off the top of my head because I'm pretty sure the 90s, they were competitive, right? With Hakeem. The 2000s, they had a little spot there with Yao, but they weren't like real, but they were like, watchable. Then you had the 2010s with Dwight and Harden coming in, then Dwight leaving and basically being the Harden show. So maybe there's something that last, 3 decades, you've had something. So there's maybe something on the horizon where Houston, the front office is like, F this, waiting around. We're going to dive in on a player and something like that. Maybe, something happens.
You make a good point because they've had really good coaches in those years too. Tom Jonovich, I guess Van Gundy too, and D'Antoni. So you're getting Udoka now, and it feels like that next wave of coaching.
I just want to say in 2009, if we were healthy, we win the championship. I just want to say that.
See? So they're right. Listen, the culture is there because you got Ime. All right. That guy is, shown to be able to turn things around. I'm a big believer in Ime Udoka. So you're obviously hitting an A+ with the coaching. Now it's about development and bringing in the right talent necessary. You know, hell, there's going to be people who are young talent. I can think LaMelo Ball right now. I'm not saying he's coming, but young talent that is going to get frustrated with where they are and where their team is doing. Like a James Harden, he wasn't frustrated, but they weren't willing to give him the money. You get where I'm going with this. That can happen again too. And Houston dives in and says, because they are a franchise that has been known, you know, screw it, we're going to go for it.
Yes.
So something could be on the horizon where they get tired of this waiting around. They're like, you know, let's just go. Like the Los Angeles Rams, F them picks.
In order to get there, they're going to need themselves a Shane Battier, a Meta World Peace. I forget about that 09 team. I didn't even realize they were how many games away from the finals? Was it they went to a game 6 in the conference? They went to the semis versus the Lakers, right?
So I don't remember at what point like 2008, T-Mac had like a resurgence MVP-esque type year, and then in 2009 he was hurt. So we played the Blazers in the first round. That was Brandon Roy and Marcus Aldridge, that team. We beat them, and then going into the second round, Yao Ming breaks his foot against the Lakers. Yet no T-Mac, no Yao. We pushed them to 7 games. So I've convinced myself that if T-Mac and Yao are playing in that series, come on, man.
We win.
We win that one.
Yeah.